certain people that cling to that believe in the Bible are under the impression that God is omniscient. And, I want to reference, and because of that, they could become depressed because they think, well, if God's omniscient, then everything must be according to his pre-knowledge and therefore will, if you will. But the Bible doesn't say that. The Bible, in the book of Genesis, it says, from the mouth of God, God says, I have heard of the outcry of Sodom and the complaint about Gomorrah. It is very great. And now I am determined to go down and see whether or not it is altogether true what I have heard. And if not, I can get to know it. Now that's God talking. That's what he says. I am determined. I've heard of this thing, the complaint about these two towns. He says, and now I'm going to go down and see whether or not it is altogether true. And if not, then I can know. So that's in the Bible. So as a Christian, and some people go, well, that was the Old Testament. Well, first of all, Jesus referred to the Old Testament. That was the only Bible that was around in Jesus' day. That was his Bible, the Old Testament. There was no, because of Jesus, the New Testament came to be. So as a Christian, we follow in, his example. But I wanted to, I digress a little bit there. But the point is, and if you go back even further in the book of Genesis to where Cain is upset with Abel, and he's going to kill him. And God perceives this hatred, and he says to Cain, and he admonishes Cain. He says, are you really this angry? And if you continue in this mindset, there is sin crouching at the entrance, of your life, that is. He goes, and will you get the master over it? Will you get mastery over your anger? And some of the older translations that King James says, thou mayest yet get mastery over it. So here we have God talking with, or communing, however you want to say it, with Cain in real time, saying, you may yet get mastery. It's not predetermined. God doesn't lie. If God knew one way or the other, he would have never said that to Cain. You may yet get mastery over your anger and not commit murder. You may. So, how could God be omniscient and have this, these things I'm mentioning, which are in the Bible? First of all, I was never under the impression that God was, quote, omniscient, unquote. I was never under that impression from the very beginning. Because we're free moral agents, number one. And by definition, every moment is brand new, pure and simple. In all the eons of time this universe has been, there has not been 1 second that's been the same as any other second. It's always been different. Every second is different. Every second is brand new, unexplored, unknown. And I'll give you an example about omniscient as an example. I'm not saying it's true or false, but something to understand. Like back in the book of Genesis, where God says, "I have heard of the complaint, and now I'm going to go see whether it's true or false." Okay, so let's say you're at home and you have children and they're playing in their bedroom, which is right off the living room, and you hear them, your children just playing. They're little toddlers. And you know what they're doing. I mean, you don't exactly know what they're doing, but you know they're in their bedroom because there's only one way in and one way out, and you can hear them in there, and they sound like you. So you have a pretty good idea that your kids are in the bedroom and they're playing, and you might even have a general idea what they're playing with. But so it could be said you know what they're doing, but you really don't. You know enough of what they're doing. They're not screaming and hollering, and crying. They're not, crying in pain. So you have a generalized idea, and you don't intrude on their whatever they're doing because there's no reason to. You're not worried about them, and whatever. So God has provision to go anywhere and do anything, and walk through walls and intrude into anybody's existence at any time, anywhere, any place, because He is Almighty. But that doesn't mean He does. Like in my illustration, which is simply an illustration. You're not going to just stand there in your kid's doorway, imposing your presence on them forever, you know. And so, but if you were concerned or was interested in what they were doing, you could, you know, go see them. So in that way, the reservation for omniscience is more, as I understand, and it seems to be more congruent with the Bible I know, as far as Genesis and Cain and Abel and the concept of free will. So I have a lot of other thoughts, but they escape me right now. So these are only my thoughts. Now I've reached the end of my thoughts.